Welcome to Art with Janine Liza. In this class we will be painting a solar eclipse in celebration of April 8th, 2024. Materials: watercolour paper taped to a board, paper towel, 3 paintbrushes, a large flat brush, 1 1/4 inch, a size 5 filbert and a size 3 round, a palette and some water. We're also going to use watercolour paint in tubes. I'm going to use 2 circles, one slightly larger than the other, as a stencil. And, of course, we're going to need a pencil. I'm going to place the larger stencil first and draw around it. Then I'm going to get the smaller stencil and line it up with the right side of the larger one and draw around that, leaving the slight edge of the larger one showing on the left side, as if it's peeking out from behind the smaller circle. When I watercolour paint, I like to dull down the lines a little bit before I start painting. Even though we're going to use strong colours, I'm just going to lighten up the edges of these circles and brush away any eraser residue. I'm going to take 2 pieces of paper towel and crumple them up so they can be used for texture in the artwork. Now for our colours, I'm going to place a sweet pea sized drop of each colour in the palette hole. We're going to use yellow, which is a lemon yellow, a bright orange, ultramarine blue, black and white. With the large brush, I'm going to put 1 small drop of water in the white, and for the rest of the colours, I'm going to fill the palette holes almost to the top. It's time to stir the paint. Using the large brush, I'm going to coat everywhere except the circles with a little bit of water. Starting with the large brush and the blue paint, I'm going to carefully just drop some blue paint into areas of the water on the paper, just like this. Gently touching the paper with the side of the large brush, releasing some of that blue colour into the water. I may also add a drop more water here and there to help the paint to sort of flow onto the canvas a little bit. This portion of the video has been sped up a little bit. You can still see the demonstration, it's just going a little faster. Just a little tissue dabbing to take off some of the puddles, and now I'm going to move to the black paint. Doing the same thing that I did with the blue, but focusing more on the corners. I'm going to move in a little bit and cover some of the blue, and then eventually that will be dabbed off a little bit using the tissue to create some texture. Now to add a little bit of water to help the colours blend together a little bit before using the tissue technique to dab some of it off and create some texture, and also remove paint from areas where I'd like it to be a little bit lighter. This is a good base, and now I'm going to add some orange. I do need to work while the paint is still wet, so it kind of is a fast-paced painting. Using the size 5 filbert brush, I'm just gently dabbing some of the orange on around, kind of in a circle around the moon and the sun. I'm being very generous with the orange. It's going to get broken up with a bit of yellow in a bit. Now I decide I'd like to add a little bit more blue in, just to intensify the colour of the blue because it sort of faded out a little bit as it dried. Also, as I apply each colour, I need to blend it with one of the colours around it to make it look more natural in its environment. So I will be going back and forth between the orange, the black, the blue, and then I'm going to be adding the yellow pretty soon. After washing the brush thoroughly, it's now time for the yellow. And this is always my favourite part, because the yellow paint loves to burst into the other colours, especially lemon yellow. This vibrant yellow colour is going to be painted on all around the circles. And I'm going to have to be careful to keep washing my brush and drying it before dipping back into the yellow paint if I've touched another colour that's darker, so I can keep it nice and vibrant. As I continue to add the yellow paint, you can see it bursting into the other colours and creating that vibrant glow around the sun and the moon. Here I'm just continuing to add more colour. I'm going to add a little bit more vibrancy around the yellow with some orange and perhaps a little bit more blue, and do a little bit more tissue dabbing. Now I've done a bit more blending, I'm going to add some more black around the edges, particularly in the corners. And this looks pretty intense, so I am using the paper towel to sort of blend the edges of the black paint with the edges of the blue and the other colours that are around it. There has to be sort of a smooth flow between colours, and this texture with the tissue kind of helps that. After letting that layer thoroughly dry, it's time to paint the moon in front of the sun, very carefully. Now this will have to dry completely before moving on to the next step. Now with the white paint, I'm going to clean up the slice of sun that's peeping out from behind the moon. Using thicker white paint and carefully draining the brush on some paper towel to make sure it's not runny, and I have to be super careful not to catch any of the black paint and drag it into the light area. The last step is to create opaque colours for yellow and orange, so using white paint with a drop of yellow and white paint with a drop of orange, and painting on the glow on the side of the moon. I have to do this very carefully because the black paint underneath is getting wet and wants to come through the yellow paint. So I have to keep washing the brush and then carefully getting some more paint and gently dropping it on without really making brush strokes per se. As I apply the orange, I actually do want to blend a little bit of it with the black paint, but only as I go further out into the space of the moon. To increase the vibrancy of the glow from behind the moon, once the painting is thoroughly dry, you could add a little bit more white to the left side of the moon. Now to remove the tape, which cleans up all the edges, and we can see how the finished painting looks. Please remember to use caution today when outside. If you do not have the proper approved safety goggles for looking at the solar eclipse, please do not look up at the sun. You want to keep your eyes good and healthy for lots more painting fun. Thank you for viewing and/or trying out this class. I hope you'll have fun painting your very own solar eclipse. Thanks for joining me on this very special solar eclipse day, April 8th, 2024. If you've enjoyed this class and you'd like to find more classes like this one, please go to Art with Janine Liza on YouTube and subscribe.